Good morning. Good morning. This is Jenita Lawal. I am a single mother. Yes. And I'm 40 plus. Can you believe it? The skin, I know, 40 plus. And I'm also an author, speaker, entrepreneur, and I'm currently living abroad in Mexico, beautiful Merida, Mexico. Why am I here this morning? Well, one of the things I want to share with you as I commit to coming on live for the next 30 days, well, next 29 days, is when is it time to quit your 9 to 5? That's part of my story. It's not part of everyone's story. Some people, their freedom equation doesn't include being an entrepreneur, which I completely understand. As I mentioned in my video yesterday, being an entrepreneur wasn't something that I really thought about in my life. And I was actually opposed to becoming an entrepreneur because I had seen behind the curtain. I come from a background in HR. I have like 10 years in human resources. So thinking about becoming a business owner and an entrepreneur, it was a lot, and it is a lot, right? So I was okay with being what I call a W-2, an employee, right? And it wasn't until I will say around October, like the fall of 2016, is when I really started thinking about, could I be a travel advisor? Like, to me, that wasn't necessarily becoming an entrepreneur. It was playing in something I hadn't really done before. At that point, I had organized my granny's 80th birthday cruise, and I did more than the travel agent that I used at that time. And I'd also done trips for my team. I was a team admin for a portion of time. And I was now in an asset management team for a hospitality firm. So I was working with hotels behind the scenes, looking at, of course, their financials and things like that, operations, but also at their booking systems, and I was deep diving on reviews and looking at customer experience. So I was doing all these things already, very much so related to travel. And I thought, well, could I make a business of this? Could I do this? So that's where my journey began. But I didn't quit my job when I started my side hustle, okay? I started my side hustle in October 2016. I didn't quit my job until April 2018. So what I will say is I knew that it was time to do something different when it was no longer exciting. It was no longer satisfying. I loved my job for 6 years. I loved my company, and I loved what I got to do. I loved my team. I really was one of those people who loved their job. Did I love every single thing about it? No. Did I go on Monday morning going, woohoo? No. But of all the things I could do, I was happy doing that. And then, like I said, about 6 years in, I got a new manager, and our visions were not aligned. What I knew of the position that I was promoted to, and of the team and of our mission, it didn't align with what he saw and what he knew. He was very much so a micromanager, and it really depleted me, and I no longer wanted to be there. And he started to make me feel very, I'm a pretty awesome person, I'm just gonna say that, and really great employee. Like, when I'm aligned to the vision of something, I go get it. That's just my personality. And so if I can see where I fit in the vision, then I go, right? And that's what I look for also in people that I bring onto my team. Like, can they align to the vision and see themselves in the vision? Well, with him, I no longer saw myself in the vision. And I remember deciding, okay, well, I'll just go get a different job. And I went on a few interviews. And I mean, coming from a background in human resources, I'm pretty great at interviewing. I remember driving in from one interview and parking the car and just sitting in the car and thinking to myself, another job is another job. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, because then it'll just be learning the hoops at a different place, and which hoops do I jump in, and did I really care about the work and the mission, and I had, become a little bit disillusioned with corporate America, especially, just to be real about it, being a black woman. I was done. I was really done. I was done with trying to sit at other people's tables, and I was ready to make my own damn table and see what that might be like. So for me, entrepreneurship really is a big part of that freedom equation. And I say entrepreneurship, freelancing falls in that too, because I've always had a combination of business owning, so owning my agency, but freelancing where I am hired out, if you will, to do skilled work, right? So in that parking lot, I made the decision, I'm going to do something different. Maybe it doesn't look like a job, like getting a W-2. What does that look like? What does that mean? And around the same time, I had already been to Merida. I visited Merida for my 40th birthday. So January 2017, you're going to guess my age. I visited Merida. And I got this feeling I knew I would live there. I didn't know when, didn't know how. In my mind, I came up with this 10-year game plan. But I would say October 2017 is when I was like, you know what, doing something different. And around the same time, I remember also 2 of my informal mentors left the company. And that changed it for me. That I no longer, 2 mentors and then one friend a work friend who we would just go together. We'd go find the little rooftop garden and sit there and decompress or whatever. So she was gone. And that really changed everything for me. So that October of 2017, which was about a year after I started my side hustle, I started thinking, okay, well, what would it look like to not come into work every day? What would it look like to depend on my income earned from this side hustle I started, this agency? What would that look like? What would it look like to live in Merida now and not, 10 years from now? So that October, I started with a coaching group, and I got clarity on why I even wanted to live abroad. I got clarity on why, the job no longer fit for me. And my coach helped me develop my 5 core values. And I would say that has been everything for me, because I still lean into those core values: freedom, autonomy, love, authenticity, and strength. I play around with strength because, and that's a whole nother video, strength can also be a prison if you're not careful, especially, again, being a black woman. The strong black woman. Well, I'm vulnerable too. Sometimes I'm not so strong, so strength is one of those values that I'm like, okay. Anyway, so came up with those 5 core values and my mission statement in life, which is to be the hands and feet of God. I don't know, to be love where someone is where there is no love. So I really live by that, and that's manifested in various ways. But yeah, so that October, I made that internal decision, and I voiced it in my coaching group, and everyone was very supportive. My coach, Mamiette Tucker, was very supportive. Thank you. And then that December, I told one person. I told my cousin Terry Ann. I didn't tell anybody else. And I was in New Orleans. I put together a trip to New Orleans, a New Year's trip. My mom was there, my aunts were there, but I didn't tell anyone. I only told my cousin, and it felt good to tell someone. And then that January, I told my friend group, and for my birthday, they threw me this birthday party, and it was Mexico themed, right? And I didn't even, at that time, I don't think I even knew when I was leaving. I just knew that I was leaving. And then fast forward to April. So I knew that I was leaving. I had already started looking at places. So my granny, I took her on a trip to not the Rocky Mountains, Lord help me, the Smoky Mountains there in Pigeon Forge area. We rented a condo, took her to little old shops and things. She just had a wonderful time. And the last day of the trip, I told her that the boys and I were leaving. And then I called my mom and I told her that I'm moving to Mexico. And that was April. And then April 20th, I can't remember if it was my last day of work or if that's when I gave notice. I just know that April of 2018 was my last time being a W-2 employee. And since that time, I have been self-employed and or operating my own business. So what I will say is, the question, when is it time to quit your 9 to 5? First, I would say you need to have income coming in. So don't just go, I'm quitting my 9 to 5, and you have no money for nothing. That is not a good plan. So we don't do that. I would say start thinking about what you want to do. When I was a coach, I would often have people look at, okay, what skills do you have? What do you like to do? And then what does the market need? And what are people willing to pay for? And as much as people want to do a lot of philanthropic things and give back things, what are people paying for, right? And if the people aren't paying for it, who's going to pay for it? So like, if you want to help kids, then you're looking at, are the parents willing to pay for it? If you're looking at helping a segment of the community, okay, is there a grant that'll pay for it or a program that'll pay for it? So anyway, that's again a whole nother video, but you want to look at what is it that I'm great at doing? What is it that I like to do? What is it that's needed in the market? What is the people willing to pay for? Those 4 things, like play in that for a minute. And I would say it's a good thing, in my opinion, to start a side hustle. You give so much time and energy to someone's job. What if you take just 20% of that, right? Just 20% of that and apply it to your own thing. What could happen if you do that? I remember I used to, at the time I was going to my personal trainer at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was done at 5. I would hop in the car and like I'd listen to like Steve Harvey's monologue or whatever. And then by the time I got home, I wouldn't change, right? I'd be in my funky clothes at my computer and I would work on my side hustle. And then the kids would wake up at about like 6-ish or 6:30, somewhere in there. Rush, get them ready for school. They would go out to the bus stop around 7:10. I would go ahead and rush, get ready for work. My other son went to the bus stop around like 7:28, something like that. I would make sure he got to the bus stop and then I would head to work. And I did that Monday through Friday. That was Monday through Friday. I just remember, yeah, anyway, so I did that. And then at night, my boys would go to bed around like 9 o'clock at night. And then I would get on the computer and sometimes I'd work till midnight. I remember I put together my first group trip, like my escorted group trip to Cape Town, South Africa. And I was so proud of myself. I did the brochure and got everything ready. And I had 4 people sign up for that. And I actually went on that trip in, June of 2018. So it was after I quit my job. I had a group trip I went to New York on a group trip. I went to Cape Town, South Africa on a group trip. And then I took a group to Essence Festival that year too. So I had all that happen after I quit my job. And it was awesome because I wasn't rushed. I didn't have to get back to work and all that stuff. So it was great. Anywho, that's my story. And I would say, like I said, my tips are: 1, get clear. Get clear on whether or not it's time for you to do something different. Is it time for you to get a different position, or are you ready to step away from the 9 to 5, right? So get clear, really get clarity on that. Sit with yourself, do an assessment. The second thing is start a side hustle. Start with where you are, right? Just try to see, can I make money doing something that I'm skilled at, that I enjoy doing, that's needed in the market, and that people are willing to pay for? Try it. Right? And then from there, set a plan in motion of, all right, well, I'm going to do this. And I will tell you one thing I did. I checked to see what the cost of living was in Mexico and what I would need. I also looked at, if I were a full-time travel advisor, what's the pay on that? And here's the real deal. Everybody talks about, oh, six figures. You don't need to make six figures to live in other places in the world. I'm just saying. When I did the math, I think that at that time, a full-time travel advisor was making like 36 a year, which is nothing, okay? And then my job, I was making like 85,000 a year, right? But when I looked at the cost of living for where I was going, that 36 USD a year, that's a good life, right? So you don't have to make six figures. You don't have to be balling to really live a good life outside the United States. Now, I will say I make more than that, so, but just do the math and have an idea of how much you need in order to live the life that you want to live where you want to live it. For me, that was moving abroad. That may not be the case for some of you. And I will say, and I'll close it by saying this, one of the things I love about the Legacy Builder program is that you can really make the income you need doing minimal work, right? I know that sounds really, but believe me, one of the lessons I've learned in this journey is, money can't come easily. We hear this whole work hard thing. Yeah, but money can also come easily. And if you apply 2 hours a day doing very particular things, right, you could make some really good money in this Legacy Builders program. I have waken up to money, and that's honestly the reason why this program, my channel is called Wake Up Paid, is because that was one of the things. I was like, you know what? I don't want to wake up to non-sufficient funds and payment decline. I want to wake up paid. I want to wake up to payments and dings and things, deposits in my account. I want to wake up paid. And so I do things to allow me to wake up paid. And I'm so grateful that I started. Anywho, I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to click the link to see all the things I have out there. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I look forward to stopping by and chatting with you guys tomorrow. Bye. And now I don't know how to stop my live. We're gonna figure this out.